Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. In today's video, I want to cover E3 Saxo Bank. Now, yesterday, I got to finish watching the race. It was spectacular. Wout van Aert was dominating with Christophe Laporte in tow to take 1 and 2 for Jumbo-Visma on the stage. Later, Casper Asgreen, I saw in an article in Cycling News, he talks about that there is a possibility to beat Wout van Aert, but they just have to figure out how. Well, I'm here to tell you, Casper Asgreen, because it's not that difficult tactic-wise to be able to beat Wout van Aert if you're perfect and if they mess up. Now, if Jumbo-Visma don't mess up, you cannot beat a rider like Wout van Aert because he is phenomenal. He is the best one-day bike racer, classic specialist in the world. So if Jumbo-Visma does everything right, no, you can't beat him. But they often do things wrong. So can you beat him? Yes. And that's what I made Beyond the Coverage right here for Casper Asgreen to watch. Now, we all have watched Brad Pitt and Fight Club. So we know the number one rule of Fight Club is you don't discuss Fight Club. And there's always rules in everything of life. Butterfly effect, number one rule, never drop your race leader, never leave them isolated, and the race leader never leaves his team to the last possible moment. So I'm going to make a number 2 right here for Casper Asgreen. Casper Asgreen, you never work with the most dominant racer in the one-day races that we have ever seen, like Wout van Aert. He is phenomenal. You cannot go pull for pull with a rider like Wout van Aert. That is the number 2 rule on Beyond the Coverage, and I'm going to throw it in there on the butterfly effect too. I'm going to make a third rule right here, especially again for Casper Asgreen, so he doesn't have to figure out all tonight and lose sleep about how to win some of these classic races along with his Quick Step Wolfpack. Now, let's go back into E3 Saxo Bank because the Tannenberg is when Wout van Aert lights up everyone. He'll go over the top of the Tannenberg 80 kilometers into the race. He's going over the top of the Tannenberg with Christophe Laporte and Thies Benoot in a group of 7. The other riders, Casper Asgreen, Stefan Kuhn from FDJ, Trek Segafredo's Jasper Stuyvens, and Bahrain Victorious, the last rider to grasp onto that group of 6 in front, is Mate Mohoric. Now, to my disbelief, Casper Asgreen rotates through and does a big pull with Jumbo-Visma. This I could not even believe. Now, you are known as the Wolf Pack. At this point in time, Casper Asgreen, you are not the Wolf Pack up here in this group of 7. It's Jumbo-Visma because they have 3 riders up here. At this point in time, Matthew Mohoric, Stefan Kuhn, Jasper Stuyvens. What are you 4 guys doing taking a pull with 3 Jumbo-Visma guys when there's still a break of 7 up the road with 30-40 second gap on Jumbo-Visma, and Jumbo-Visma don't have a rider in that group? At this point in time, nobody has to pull with Jumbo-Visma. They just got done dominating the whole beginning of the season at Het Nieuwsbaan with Wout van Aert all the way through Paris-Nice. I probably don't have to remind you guys about Stage 8 of what Wout van Aert did to protect Primož Roglic's lead all the way to the finish over Col d'Ez. That was spectacular. He is on amazing form, and so is Jumbo-Visma as a whole. These guys are firing on all cylinders. So when you're the Wolf Pack and you're the lone wolf with 3 other Jumbo-Visma guys, that is not the time to start going toe-to-toe, Casper Asgreen. You need to back out and you need to kill this break immediately. It would have been better for all 4 riders in that break to drop out, go back to their teammates in the peloton and have their super domestiques work on the front while Wout van Aert, Thies Benoot, Christophe Laporte are up there pulling as hard as they can, and just hope that your super domestiques can keep you close and they get fatigued, and then you jump across to those guys. Now, I am not endorsing letting Wout van Aert, Christophe Laporte, and Thies Benoot go up the road. But if they're already up there, I am certainly telling you, you cannot win E3 Saxo Bank if you start going pull for pull with Wout van Aert up there, which is what they're doing. Now when they catch the break of 7 up the road, it's Thies Benoot that's still on the front throwing in attacks and just splitting this race all up. Ineos will do a great job of getting Jonathan Navarez up there along with Dylan Van Barley, and 2 other quick step riders will get up there in the form of Florian Seneschal and Davide Ballerini. Now on the Tannenberg climb, the next rule I'm going to invoke, I'm going to call it rule number 3. You don't attack the most dominant one-day racer that we have been watching throughout the last couple seasons, named Wout van Aert, on the cobblestone climb if you're Casper Asgreen. You never attack Wout van Aert on the steepest, hardest cobblestone climbs in the one-day classics. You attack him anywhere else you can. You attack him in the corners, you attack him in the crosswind, you attack him on the flats, you attack him on the downhills, you attack him any place you can. I don't endorse attacking through the feed zone, but if you can't win, you better figure out something else. Attack him in the feed zone or attack him when he takes a nature break. But do not attack the guy when you're going up a cobblestone climb and your teammates on the back getting dropped Davide Ballerini while Casper Asgreen's trying to drop Wout van Aert on the Tannenberg climb. Absolutely ridiculous, Casper Asgreen. You should have held your firepower, kept the legs fresh, sat on, let Jumbo Visma do all the work. That's my number 3 rule. So I've made 2 rules to help you out, Casper, right here on Beyond the Covers. Remember, don't work with a rider such as Wout van Aert, one of the most legendary one-day riders of the past generation, and definitely don't attack him on the hard cobblestone climbs. That's rule 2 and 3 just for you, Casper Asgreen. Now, when we get further on the Tannenberg climb, we're going to see Wout van Aert just destroy everyone and go over the top with Christophe Laporte. He's just off the back. He's going to back off a bit, let Christophe Laporte attach, and then the 2 are going to dominate E3 Saxo Bank. Because, again, all of the mistakes that the competition made here at E3 Saxo Bank allowed Wout van Aert to put himself in this position to solo. If you remember at the beginning of the classics, when the races start at kilometers 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, everybody can climb with Wout van Aert early in the race. At 80 kilometers to go on the Tannenberg, when Wout van Aert attacked, there was 4 riders that can follow plus 2 of his teammates. So you know they can follow him when their legs are good. Once you start going pull for pull, what happens? Wout van Aert is superhuman. He's up here. When you're here and you're below him, the gas tank is wearing lower, 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 lower every time you take a pull with him. Now, on the Tannenberg with 80 kilometers to go, you're at 50%. You can still follow him, but once you start dropping below that and your energy levels keep dropping and dropping, Wout's energy levels are staying high. When he attacks on the Tannenberg with 42 kilometers to go still in the race, nobody can follow him. If they had killed that break, gone back to the field, let Jumbo Visma pull the field around all day long, when Wout van Aert attacks on the Tannenberg at 42 kilometers to go, now all of a sudden Casper Asgreen still has some kind of freshness in his legs because he has his teammates around to look after him the whole time, and he's not going pull for pull with Wout van Aert. So the biggest mistakes you have made, Casper Asgreen, they are humongous mistakes. You do not go at 80 kilometers to go pull for pull with Wout van Aert. You do not attack him on the cobblestone climbs. I hope this will help you out in the future because we have some spectacular one-day classics that are just starting here in March. We've got another month and a half of great one-day races, and I want to see the huge battles and the tactical battles on how to beat Wout van Aert. And remember, if you're the Wolf Pack Quick Step, who have just become the Wolf Pup, because clearly the Wolf Pack is Jumbo Visma here after E3 Saxo Bank, you better stay with your crew for as long as possible if you expect to be able to stay with Wout van Aert at the finish of these one-day classics. Luckily for us, we have Mathieu van der Poel that will show up again at these one-day races because Mathieu van der Poel is a rider, I believe, just a nudge below Wout van Aert. But I believe tactically he's smarter than Wout van Aert. When you look at the past races, Mathieu van der Poel has always been able to follow Wout van Aert and always been able to make Wout van Aert do a little bit more work than him. With that little bit more work, Wout van Aert's level starts to drop to Mathieu van der Poel, and at times I've seen it go below Mathieu van der Poel, and then Mathieu van der Poel says, "Thank you, Wout, for doing the extra work throughout today's one-day classic," and then he leaves him behind and wins. So, Make sure you guys like and subscribe because we got some fabulous classics coming. And of course, Matthew Vanderpool is going to be back in action up here in the north. And hopefully, Quickstep, the Wolf Pup, will find some kind of way to get their magic back and learn how to bike race again when we get into these next big one-day classics. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Butterfly Effect because it's spectacular racing here in 2022. And I'll see you guys real soon.